We're going to switch gears a little bit today because today it is 40 degrees out and tomorrow it's going to snow 5 to 8 inches. So I want to take advantage of the 40-degree weather and get some of this rust repair work done while I got the chance. So I'm going to start, I think, by getting the grinder out and cutting out some of this really thin stuff here. Probably like that, you know, probably to like there. Kind of cutting all that out and then treating what's grinding down, treating the metal that's left here. Let that treat for a little bit. I want to get some, well, I suppose I'll probably weld in a patch first. I got some metal here I'll weld in there. We'll kind of get that hole covered and then we'll try brace up maybe a couple pieces from here to here. You know, just put some structure. While the rail's strong, it's hold the rail back to this, you know, and make that a little better because obviously something happened in this front end and this rail's a little crinkled. And then the other thing I was thinking about, the battery tray's right here. So I think some of this is a battery leak. Granted, this side's got some rust in it too, you know. So I don't think we're going to cut anything out of this side, but I'm going to try grind it down and treat it. And then maybe we'll put a little bit of fluid film on these seams when we're done, all of it all the way across, just to kind of keep it from getting any worse. But I want to take advantage of today and get that all taken care of. I almost wonder here, well, I'd hate to take these lines out because these are probably okay. But, you know, look at that master. That master's probably shot. Because I'm thinking if we pulled this out of the way, the master and the lines and stuff, will get in here a little better. So I might start by deleting on this. Or at the very least undoing it from the booster and pulling it off and kind of just tilting it. I think that's a smart play to be able to get in there fully and address what's going on right here. Because I think with the way this is, we're going to need to put a patch right there and weld around it. Because that's the strongest point where that strut bolts in, and that's kind of sketchy looking. Probably pull the strut out, and then I can put a brace on the inside too. So yeah, I'll start by pulling this strut out. I'll get the master out of here. I'll just take it off. It's not going to hurt anything. I think that master's going to need replacing anyway. And then we'll be able to look at the booster, make sure the booster's not full of fluid. Yeah, that's where I'm going to start. We all saw that coming, right? Yeah, I made a best effort. I think that's a first. I don't think I've ever had to remove the entire prop valve. Have I had to replace every line going to a prop valve? Yes. Have I ever actually went and removed one with the bracket? No, I don't think I have. Yeah, so that's all out of the way. It's going to get all new brake lines, because why wouldn't it? Yeah, we saw that coming. I think that's where all the brake fluid initially went. Yep. So I ought to put that on the list of things to order. A booster and a master. I don't think I've ever had to buy a new booster. I've had to go salvage some from junkyards, but I don't think I've actually went and bought a new one. Can you even get these? I assume you can get these. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. Chrysler uses the same boosters for everything, but I'm going to say that that's not going to seal right. Yeah, the booster's freaking seized. Let's see if we can hit the pedal now, because I remember the pedal being kind of stuck. And if you look at the master here, it looks like maybe I got it to move and it's stuck in, because you see how it like moved. So I think we got that to stick in. Maybe I don't remember. I don't know. Let's just jam the pedal. Well, it does break things now. Does return. I can hear it pressing air out. Yeah, this is not gonna seal though. I don't know. We're gonna replace that. Yeah. But look at the axis here. It's so much better. That this is really bad actually. That's structural right there. So we're gonna grind that all the way down and we're gonna patch that up good. Clean all this whole channel off. We'll paint that probably in engine black. I'll have to pull this seam sealer off of here. See this rock hard seam sealer that's all cracked up? Pull all of that off of here, all the way back to here. Clean that all up. Yeah, it's got some significant rust. Yeah, this is gonna get the needs everything mechanical restoration, isn't it? You see this? Here's the thing. I guess it's a parts fan is what it is, because it does have good doors. It's got good fenders. It's kind of got good bumpers, but that's kind of where the good stuff really ends, because it doesn't have much else. It's got glass. The interior stuff isn't good for anything. None of the engine bay stuff was good for anything. The transmission, maybe, I suppose. Like the headlight assemblies, maybe, but not really. Maybe these brackets. Like, there's not a whole lot of good. Like, even the control arms need all new bushings and stuff. You know, who knows how long that rack's gonna... you know, it'll probably be fine, but... Mirror, I suppose it's got some good parts on it. I don't know. But it's like you need a parts car for your parts car here, because there's no good parts on the parts car. You know. I don't know. That new box of parts is getting pretty big. I got that strut pulled out, because, you know, we're gonna have to do some work down here. See that little blotch right there? That's a problem. I almost have to grind that brake line fitting bracket out of there too. So we'll come in, we'll clean up that seam a little bit. You know, there's only so much we can do without drilling every spot weld out, but... So that's all done. This side's all exposed. I got all those brake lines out of there. I even pulled the fuel lines out. Those are they're rusty down there. They're probably gonna have to get re-ran. I think that's about all I'm willing to cut out of there. So I left myself something to work with, you know. The rest we'll grind out. As you can see, at least the metal's thick what I left behind. So we should have something to work with there. I probably should have cut this. I don't know what this it has to be bent down. There's a little square notch here. That must have been for clearancing something, but I don't know quite what. Battery tray maybe? This is something to keep in mind. We'll have to make a couple patches to kind of piece that together. Probably something coming across like here and here, then one here, and then we're going to need a little plate that goes to here and kind of butts up to it. And that plate will probably continue on as part of that. But we'll have to... I don't want to cut this out, but I'm going to grind it all back and see what's left. Stick this right in the face of you British people who keep telling me, why don't you just do some welding? I am! You know who you are, and I'm just playing around anyway. But got that all ground down, I think, to somewhere where I'm kind of satisfied with it. And then I got in my hand here. That's that brake fitting on the passenger side. That needed to go away. We're going to have to put a patch where it was sitting. See this big rot hole right there? So I'm going to kind of grind out all of it. And because see, this is all rust inside. See how it's cracked in here? I'll have to take a punch maybe and kind of knock it loose. Because that's that inner panel. That's not this outer panel. It's another panel on the inside that's separated. As you can see, I've got the outer panel on here. See how thin that is? So I cut all the welds out and then kind of just, I took a hammer to it and just knocked it loose till it broke. Because there's 2 spot welds there, and they kind of just fell out, as you can see. But yeah, so we're going to need to put like a square patch, kind of patch all this together, and then weld it to this. This has got welds on the inside of the rail, on the other side in here. I'm not worried about it falling out, but let's brace it up while we're in here. Enjoy that carnage. So it looks like, structurally, I think it'd be okay, because this piece of metal folds down and then is welded to here, and then we have another top piece of metal that's gone right here, which exposes this, which, to be fair, it's really rusty in there, but I don't think it was going to go anywhere, but we'll take care of it. See, it's like 3 layers of metal, which is a good thing, but yeah, that's not good. So, and that's what the other side's going to look like when I punch through. We're going to see this inner layer, and then this outer layer is going to rot away. So I'm going to come in. I'll probably start cutting a little bit. I'll probably cut a chunk of this outer layer out. See right here, inside of here. See this hole right here? Look at this water. Why didn't they seam this? Like they seamed all this. Just one goop there would have saved all the water and moisture getting in that hole, which you can see is expanding. It's rotting inside between this metal here. You'll never believe what was behind all that sealer. Moisture. See it? It's literally wet right now in all those seams. And without that there, it would have dried out. So it's just a sealing problem. And Chrysler had, this is a big problem with why the 3rd gen strut towers rusted out, because they had seamed metal like this, like multi-layer, and then seam sealer in some spots, but not others, and it just held all of it. Now, if it was sealed on both sides completely all the way through and nothing could get in, seam sealer is great, because where moisture wasn't getting, as you can see in here, it's good, you know. Granted, this stuff is also 35 years old, and I could hit it with a hammer and it shatters. It doesn't peel, it shatters. So, just getting all this out of here is going to do us some good. So, but we're getting pretty well down there. I'm going to start the grinding process on this side. As you can see, we're in here pretty good. I knocked all the loose rust out of there. So at least we got something to work with now, and we'll be able to get oil down in there, hopefully, even with it patched up. Got down to here. As you can see, it's not good. It's not good. Okay, I think I'm done with all the punches, the grinders, the cutting wheels. It's all ready to go. So I ground everything down on this rail. This whole rail, first thing we're going to do is we're going to treat it and paint it. And then we're going to come in and make one nice square patch there, kind of brace all that together. And then here I think I'm going to leave alone. I'm going to paint it. Maybe I'll come in with some liquid nails and kind of clean it up, seal it up. But I think I'd almost be better to leave it open to let it drain, because that's where it's going to rust anyway. So we're going to leave that open. So one patch on this side. And then this side we're going to paint this whole rail, treat this rail, paint the whole thing, clean it all up. And then that's all done. Nothing on the inside needs to be taken care of. It all is fine. Come over to this side. This whole rail's ground down. The whole rail is going to get treated and painted. We're going to make, obviously this patch is going to get patched up. Not really structural so much as kind of cosmetic, but a little bit of structure. Got to hold this inner fender wall to the rail. In here, there's no holes, but I think I'm going to brace it and weld a piece of metal over top to kind of brace it to the frame. We got to be careful to stay out of the way of where the transmount goes, but we should be okay there. Maybe just button a piece up here and just welding here and then to here. Something like that. So a little rectangle patch, no big deal. Come around this side. This has all been ground down. The whole thing's going to get treated and painted. This will be taken care of on top side. Maybe we'll add some welds on the bottom side. Here, I think I'm going to make another rectangle brace, because see how it's weak right here? All these spot welds in here, it's probably fine, but we don't want to find out later. So we want to put a piece of metal over here so we can weld to this rail. See how you've got two different silly spot welds here? There's 2 layers of metal here, so this is super strong. So if we can weld to here and weld to here and hold that together, that should be fine. And then down here, we're going to do the same thing, a nice little square patch to kind of brace this to this, so this doesn't want to flex. And then that should be it. Maybe a little patch over here. We'll see what we can do. That's not super bad, especially if this is fixed. All right, I got the first layer down. It's rust reformer. It's kind of nice to create a nice barrier between everything, and it kind of cures to the rust and converts it, I guess, some sort of chemical reaction. We're trying to beat the moisture in the air sticking to all the metal we just cleaned up and dried. That looks pretty good. So far, that should dry to kind of like a, yeah, like a not gloss, like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Flat. Anyway, we got all that, got underneath, got all around. I got everything here, all the strut towers and everything. I think while we're waiting, I'm gonna get a crowbar in here and try bend this bumper down. I noticed while I was painting in here, pop the light on, that it popped the spot welds out down there on the rail where it pulled that whole thing out. So, yeah, that's fun. Well, the fog is quite literally moved in just after I got all that paint laid. So it's kind of dried up, but what's happening is moisture is beating on top of it, so I can't put paint on that. Anyway, there's an idea. We'll see what that does. In the meantime, see how flat this is right here? And see how not flat this metal is? That whole thing needs to be bashed in with a sledge. So the bumper I got a lot better, but it's still kind of kinked out. I'm gonna see if I can unbolt the bumper, and then I'm gonna hit the heck out of the bottom there with a sledgehammer, try to get it straight, and then put it back on. And that should fix the bumper. So you can see how far out it is on the bottom. See that? See where it should be? It should be about here. So. I guess we'll do one side at a time. This side's about dried off. See how flat it's gotten? This side's wet, and it's not paint wet, it's moisture on top of the paint. See that? So this side's, it's getting warm too. So this should dry pretty well. I'm gonna let that dry out, warm up, and cure. And then we're gonna hit that with some paint. And then once that's going, we're gonna go to the other side and do the same thing. This is gonna work good. Because the inner fender's holding all that heat, which is good. That's gonna work brilliantly. That's all good. Looks good. So this side's all painted. I have enough epoxy paint to do a coat on this side too when we get to it. But I'll let that dry for a bit. I gotta finish getting this bumper off. I got these 2 bolts coming, but I gotta get the plastic cover bolts off so we can get that undone. It'll pull the whole bumper off. I wanted to do a second coat, so what I did for our top coat is this acrylic enamel, some gloss black, and that really did it up good for a second coat. And I got plenty of this, so no issues there. That's gonna look good, so we'll do the whole inside here. I almost should do the back side of the engine bay. I'm just gonna do the sides though. But that looks really good. Look at that, that's coated really nice. How about that for flat? That was like bowed all the way out to here. I just beat the thing into submission with a 3-pound sledgehammer. Should be frickin' mint. That is a hell of a lot better. Yeah, see, it's not sticking out anymore. It's flat up against it now. Yeah, that was really bad. This thing got clobbered in the front end. Figure we'll chat quick before I turn this guy back on over here. That side's all pretty good. It's nice and hot. All this metal is warm. The paint is dry. It's not tacky anymore. Pretty much. So that's good to go. We're gonna get and start heating up this side. Look at all the moisture. Well, actually, it's kind of dried off of it. Actually, this is heating it up because the metal's warm. So it's all heating up, which is good. Anyway, that looks really good. That gloss that turned out good. That's gonna look really good. I really should just do the whole thing, but we gotta have that off anyway. Maybe we'll do it at that point. But for now, these are the 2 we've got to get done, and that's all there is to that. But this looks really good here. I gotta look. This bracket, the bracket looks a little bent. I might have to smack on the bottom a little bit. It's a little bent out. But the bracket looks pretty good. That is gonna help a lot. That was really bent out of shape. So that's in a... It's a lot better. Yep, that should be just fine. All right, this side's all done up and painted. I even came in and I did this. I don't know how well that'll stick. I didn't heat it. I think I'm out of propane, but I figured that'll look good, at least a little bit you can see. So that's all done up. I think we will come in when we finish up here. We'll go in and we'll paint the back of the firewall. It only makes sense to do the rest of it, right? Alright, so it's a bit later here, and I've been working on some other stuff, mainly getting my makeshift door put on the old carport thing out of the 2 tarps from the excess tarp for the thing, and a bunch of Harbor Freight vice grips. Anyway, that's all done. I gotta get some cars in front of here, because when the blizzard that's comes tomorrow, it's gonna blow everything this way, and we want to keep wind off of that thing. Anyway, I got all the stuff cleaned up here, like the excess parts and the tires and stuff I put inside of there so they're out of the snow so they don't get buried and stuck in whatever. And I got the hood back on here, just kind of sitting here. Bumpers inside. This is all nice and straight now, but this bracket that's on the bumper is super bent, and somehow managed to unbolt all 4 nuts that are on that bracket to get the bracket off, so I can put the bracket in a vise and kind of beat on it, kind of get it back to straight. So hopefully by the time we're done here, the bumper's going to sit nice and straight on there, because that looks good. This all looks good. Honestly, that looks nice and painted now. It looks good. I've got the fleet here running. We got Blondie sitting here. We've got Carrie 2.0, and then we got the No Reverse 05 Town & Country, the old van. And I'm going to move Carrie out of the way. I gotta put Blondie, because Blondie's the big girl. She's the big one. These two are shorties. Right in front of the door, blocks the most wind. Put the 05 right there next to it, because the 05 doesn't have reverse, so then I can drive out. But actually, I'm gonna point it that way, because there's no way we're going uphill in this ice here. I don't know why. I'm just explaining this crap to you for no good reason. So, but yeah, so if we pull the 05 in this way, I'll be able to kind of meander out when we get the driveways snow blown or whatever, shoveled. And then I'll take Carrie, and Carrie's gonna sit behind Barry, because Barry's sitting right there next to, I don't know, who are you? Who are you?
The next day.
Here's a snow update. So you can see we're getting some nice drifts forming. It's great. Well, our cap and rotor is in the back of that. Here goes nothing. Figured you guys can walk over the snow drifts with me. Oh, it's cold, it's windy, this is awful. All right, here we go. Thank God we put these 2 hatch struts in as I throw the flashlight. Come here. Come here. Okay, where is it? Here it is. Oh, the whole thing. Okay, perfect. I don't know what just fell. I don't care. Goodbye. Good thing that doesn't latch. Okay. What just fell? Oh, a wire. Come back. That sucked. Well, it's actually nice out today. There's no wind. It's warm enough the snow is starting to melt. I've got the air compressor out here because I had to blow out all the snow that blew into here. But I don't see any like flash rusting or anything, which is usually a sign if you see flash rusting after you paint, your paint's too thin and you didn't get a full coat. I don't see any of that going on here. And it's wet. There's water dripping off of this stuff, so my point has been proven. Yeah, so that looks good. It looks really clean, actually. You can see how the water's all beaded up on it. It looks good. Anyway, I've been out here because I am doing some cardboard aided design, and I'm kind of getting ready to weld this in because today is the nicest day of this week, I think. So I want to get the stuff welded that needs to be welded, so we can get the engine and transmission dropped in here when we're ready. I'm being optimistic, and I'm kind of like, well, maybe this week yet. So, because I'm still off work, but you know how that goes. I should not get my hopes up. I got to come up with, this is going to be more advanced because we got to do multiple like small pieces, but yeah, I want to do the structural repair first, like the superstructural. So I've got that patch made. I've got the 2 inners made here for this side of the strut. That side doesn't really, I don't think that needs a patch on that side. This side does for sure because it was rusty. So I got to just make a little rectangle patch for that. And then I need to find enough metal. I've had like 2 16-gauge sheets, and I've used just about all of both of them. So I might have enough to make a couple of the small patches, but the big ones for the inner strut tower patches, I might need to find something to cut up, because I don't know that I've got enough metal. there's my awfully beautiful welds. Look at that. We got 2 patches made here. Got this bracing down to this whole thing. And then we've also got this whole piece just kind of extra strength put in there where that was kind of, you know. We'll go ahead. I'll kind of take a grinder to those. Just knock all the loose flakes off of that. Go ahead. I'll probably get the torch out here and we'll go ahead and paint that. And then get some protection over it. On the underside, on the back side of these panels, I put some like weld through primer, so at least there's some protection against the bare metal there. And then we'll go ahead and fluid film as much as we can in whatever crevices we can get into when this is all complete. But that ought to be stronger than it was for sure. I should go get the little brake piece and weld that on too really quick with a couple of tacks. There, brackets all welded in place, should be good to go. That's the passenger side welding all done, at least for structural. Nice. That's not bad, is it? I don't know, what do you guys think? I'd say it's better than it was. Let that dry for a bit. Well, I just used up that whole roll. Hopefully I've got another roll, otherwise we're in trouble. But I've got the upper inside brace, that's all welded in, and I've got everything all the way around pretty well on that, except for where it attaches to the mounting point for the subframe. So I almost had that done. And then we just got this little patch here on the inside, which I had a blow through there I had to fill back in, as you can see. And you know where that lands? Right in the middle of where that patch is going to go. So it just kind of proves my point how thin that metal is. But it's snowing now, it's cold, it's dark. I really hope I have this, because it's not that much more welding I got to do.
The next day.
Well, back to work. It's windy, it's kind of cold, it's kind of flurrying. I got 2 new rolls of wire feed, flux core stuff, and then I got another 24 by 24 sheet of 16 gauge steel. All right, all the structural welding's done. I got to come in and clean up the welds with the grinder and then paint them clearly, but there's the inner panel. That's all braced in there, so that piece is nice and strong again there. And then obviously on this side we did the one last night, and then I ran out of feed, so I got that piece. I finished welding the bottom there, and then I got the little brake bracket in, so that should be good to go. You know, he's not going anywhere. And as you can see up here, I got good penetration because you can see where it burned through on the paint. But that should be all good to go. We just gotta make sure we recoat that. No, I don't see any holes in there, and whatever holes here, these are all good for drainage. I'm not gonna seam seal anything. It's all gonna have airflow so it can drain and do whatever it needs to do. Got the heater going. So you can see we got some fresh paint up in there. Got a coat of epoxy on there just to kind of seal that all up. And then we'll go over it with an automotive enamel, which is what we've been doing. So I've been doing epoxy on the first layer to seal, and then I've been doing an automotive enamel just to top coat it. That way it's UV protected and everything. But that's looking good. Isn't that not, that's not bad. That's not bad. All right, welders, roast me in the comments. You wouldn't have touched it though, so it's fine. So there's a little cardboard aided design for you there. I'll have to keep a note when I make the panels, leave a little edge, leave the mark that I make with them, because that's just a little on the inside. This panel turned out really good here. So that's gonna be my bracing on the rail here, because we had to cut a chunk of it off. Then you got one kind of curved piece here, which isn't too bad. And then we got this one, which has got a kind of a couple folds. So one fold here, and then I folded it over here to kind of just layer it over top. I might just do that for the panel, I don't know. We'll see. That's not too bad for what it is. So I'm gonna take all that inside and transfer that onto some metal. Well, I've got the Voyager here in service configuration, as it is Saturday before I go back to work on Monday for the year, so this is fun. I thought maybe I'd have a chance of getting this drivetrain in here while I was on Christmas vacation. Not a chance. That did not even close. But we did get a lot of work done. There's still a lot more to do here. And we're going to start ripping this interior out, aka the dash and the whole interior, because it needs gone. And all of the stuff is out and kind of resorted. Now, it might be kind of counterintuitive to rip all this stuff out for a couple hours just to probably throw it back in here, but kind of gave me an inventory and everything, refreshed my memory, so I know what I've got. And I don't got too many extras, really, and I didn't really throw that much away. I got the whole wire harness pulled out here. There's all the AC lines and stuff. You know, all the stuff we need. There isn't that much here. We've got most of it on the engine itself. Is pretty well it. As far as the interior goes, I just sprayed all the seat bolts down with some PB Blaster underneath. Maybe something will break free there. I doubt it, but you know, it's worth a shot. That's the first thing we're going to try. So yeah, I think I'm going to work on, we'll see if those seats will come out. I'll try fight them a little bit. All right, can we vacate? So there's that. This right here, this rot, is from the windshield leaking and it having moisture in it for 20 years. Otherwise, that seat frame would be a lot better. That seat frame over there is bent. I don't know who sat in that seat, but that whole thing is bent. So, you know, that's a whole nother story. So we're going to go ahead and try to get that one out. That one's probably going to be more difficult because we can't do that. I still got to get that out, but it'll be easier now because the seat's not in the way. All right, one down, one to go. Seats have been deleted. And boy, the carnage left behind. So I was able to get that front one out up there. I had to do some cutting to make a groove so I could put a vice grip on it. That one came out. That one came out. That one clearly is still present. There's more to that than you think. That one started and then it spun. So I had to have two vice grips holding it and spin a little bit. They'd fall off. Do it again. In and out a bunch of times till it finally came out. This one, well, you know, that one broke off the seat, but not before the floor broke off of the body. Yeah, that's a good sign of things to come when we pull this carpet. So I'm just gonna leave that in the carpet because I think the carpet's gonna get replaced? Question mark? Maybe? If there was a van that needed a carpet kit, it's this one. Yeah. Yeah, it's out. Maybe I should try break that off so when I'm in and out of here with getting the dash out, I'm not cutting my feet open or my ankle or something with that. Yeah, so, yeah, it came out. You know. I'll do y'all the courtesy of turning the radio off so you guys can watch this live. So pay attention. Make it worth it to me because I really want the radio on. Def Leppard is on, and I had to turn it off for you. So let's start with this because we know there's a giant mouse nest here. So mouse nest count 1 is what this is going to be. At least 1. It could be multiple. We'll find out. It's going to rain down on top of me when I take this off. It's already mostly unclipped and broke. I don't even think that there's nothing holding that in. There's nothing. That screw's not holding anything in. Maybe it is. We'll take this one out first. No, it's not doing anything. There's probably a clip here, clip here, clip here. These 2 screws and a couple more clips. Everything else is broke off. So we'll start here. Try and support it. I don't want to break it any worse than it already is, because good luck finding a hatch trim, at least around here. Hell, you know, the parts vehicle I buy would be nicer than this, so, you know, that's kind of the whole deal here. Is I can't find a parts vehicle bad enough that it would make sense to even bother. Unless it's wrecked or something. Anybody got a wrecked Voyager with a red interior? Hit me up. I'll put a wrecked anything, honestly. Well, no, not a wrecked anything. First gen caravans only, maybe second gen. I'd be interested in a decent wrecked one that could be parts. But, you know, whatever you got, email me. Worst I can say is no, right? Please come down. Okay, it's gonna do it. That's not that bad. There's no speakers. Where are the speakers at? Why is there no speakers? Huh. One nest right where the lock is. Perfect. As you can see, this was fully insulated, and there's none left. That turned into mice nests. Perfect. Well, I've excavated the lock mechanism out of the hatch. As you can see, we've made a mess. Yeah, so there's no chance that that works at all ever again, and it needs replaced, but I'm going to go soak it in oil, and we should be able to make it work again. We just got to free up that, and once we free up that, it should function, because here's the manual lever. That manual lever pushes on that, which opens the lock, and then to close it, you just push the hatch on it, and it pushes it back in, and that's that. This is the power solenoid for the power lock button. As you can see, it just pulls this arm up, and it does the kind of the same thing for the release, but there's no chance that works. It's the plastic's cracked on it. There's no way that works, so that needs replaced anyway. But at least if we can get it to manually lock and unlock, that would be helpful. So that was a whole ordeal to get that panel off. We had to drill out the first one. The back two bolts came out fine. Top one snapped off, and the bolt was rusted through the plastic. Never a good time there. This side might be a little easier because it's already destroyed. So we might be good there. That shouldn't be that big of a deal. But you got to start with this panel, because then you can take this panel, and then you can take that panel. But it's all gross, and it's disgusting under all of it. They were in there. I don't know, the mice get in all these places. It's wild. Whole thing's got to get completely stripped down. Well, at the passenger B-pillar, we've got some fun stuff going on. I still can't pin this van down. Like, it's such an oddball van. It's been severely messed with in its life. From the whole mileage thing to it being wrecked up in this front area, like this door's been painted, that fender's been painted, to it having an overhead console with manual windows and, you know, not it being a base Voyager. You know, it doesn't even have cruise, but it's got the overhead console. Here's a little more to that story, I think. 1, mouse nest. 2, mouse nest. Mouse nest count 3. What's this? So I saw these wires when I was going through, and I'm like, those don't look like they were there from the factory, do they? That pink and that orange, they're definitely out of place. Like somebody tried to run the orange one through here, or maybe it was run through here at one point. It looks like they've kind of just been pulled out, but they look kind of out of place. You know, in this black one here too. They're out of place. So down here, these wires are run every which way. So these 3 that look funny, they're run under the seat belt here. Like they got tucked up under that seat belt, like almost as if they were run there before this belt was put in. Like this belt was out when these were run. And then the main harness is kind of, one is run underneath and then one is run on top. And Somebody been here is all I'm saying. Somebody been there. And then you come up to here. The pink fell out. I think the mice removed it. It goes to here. So the pink and the orange are for the power locks, which you wouldn't have thought. Clearly they're here. So was it a dealer added power lock? Like did the dealer have a base Voyager, and then they went and here maybe this kind of makes sense. They add the roof rack. They convert it to power locks by running the wires for it. So they bought the plugs and everything for the power locks, converted it to power locks, and then they added the overhead console. Because if you look here, the wire colors don't all match. And so it's a overhead console headliner was put in with the overhead console harness, and then they spliced it here. Somebody did. That kind of makes sense, because how do you get an overhead console vehicle on a 2.5, like a super base Voyager? I mean, who knows? I don't know. I didn't order these, so it's possible, but super rare combo for sure. And a factory 5-seater at that. Like, this is super bare bones. But it's got overhead console. It was added. And whether it was added aftermarket or a dealer or what, it almost makes sense to be a dealer ad because of the fact that it's got the proper, well, it would have had the proper anyway, but I don't know. It's like the proper colored wires is what I'm saying. That's Chrysler like wire. It's not like some cheap aftermarket. Like, this is proper, like OEM wire, if you want to call it that, because it matches all the others, but like it's added after the fact. So maybe it's a dealer like conversion sort of deal. But that explains that kinda, I think. We'll see. I bet you we're gonna find more the more we tear into this. Yeah. Oh, we're at Mouse Nest 4, by the way, because of the one up there. So I gotta get that seatbelt out of there, that retractor, get this whole panel out of here, and just keep moving. But yeah, this van, it baffles me. It's such an oddball vehicle, but it's kind of cool, I guess. I'm not the first person in here, I'll tell you that much. Apparently that didn't fully click in my mind what was done here. It's through the seatbelt harness. I can't remove it. Come on. Oh, there's some quality going on there. So yeah, so they have the harness, because there's 3 plugs up under here, I believe, and they're not always all used. We'll see when we pull the dash off. But they got the harness from the dash, and they were able to plug it in. And because they didn't want to rip the van apart, whoever added this, because this is definitely added, as you can tell, it's proof now. That did not come off the factory line with that overhead console. It was added either by a prior owner or by a dealer. And if a dealer did this, I shouldn't say shame on you, but you could have done better than this. Was it, Anyway, so what I'm saying is they did this and they ran it through there to make it easier on them. So I have to undo this, so I'm going to get documentation on how this is together, because we're going to put it back the way it was.
John Deere and Arnold's Case IH, plus packed educational sessions. You won't want to miss this event. Register today at mmagexpo.com. We'll see you there.
After the longest war in our nation's history, the United States has more veterans now than any other country.
Holy
We still need our thanks and our
shit.
You can help with that support by nominating a veteran for the Radio Mankato Fleet Farm Western Specialized Veteran of the Month spotlight. Head to RadioMankato.com to nominate your vet today. Then listen in on all of these great radio stations for the Radio Mankato Veteran of the Month Spotlight. Brought to you by Western Specialized and Fleet Farm.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Forbes. Mostly cloudy tonight with lows in the mid-teens. On Sunday, cloudy at first, then increasing sunshine, breezy and warmer with highs in the mid-30s. Grandpa's barbecue sauce, made at Grandpa's original recipe. Get yours now at grandpa'sbbqshop.com. Right now, it's 22 degrees.
Would anybody like an order of hantavirus? Yeah. Oh, that's, yep. So, yeah, what are we at? We're at 4, so we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up there. At least, it's not a condo, it's not an apartment complex, it's a skyscraper. It's a mouse skyscraper. I don't know. So clearly, just the way that all of the hardware was incorrect and missing, somebody had been in here before me. The last person that took this panel off, and I was wondering where this was coming from, because I didn't remember pulling any house insulation out of the van. The last person in here added insulation to the vehicle. So there's the source of the last person that took this off and messed up all the hardware. I see some wire splicing going on there. That is probably for the power window regulator right there. That would be my assumption, is that that was added as well. But there's 2 wires spliced there, and one of them looks kind of cookedy melty, so that's good. We'll figure out what those are for when we continue to take this apart. This has got washer fluid in it. Oh, and it's good. The stuff in the front washer, because I had the reservoir back here, it was froze. That's still got some good stuff in it that's not froze. Yeah. Well, I'm going to try scoop out as much as I can. I think I'm at the point where I need to get the shop vac in here and kind of start shop vacuuming some of this stuff out so it does not go into my lungs. Jeez. I should have done the reveal live if I was thinking. I wasn't. What is that? What do you even call that? Oh my God. Oh my gosh. That is crazy. Oh my God. He must have died up there because you can see where he leaked. Oh my. Yeah. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Can this count for like 10? This is 10. This counts as 10. That counts as 10. We're just gonna do that. Oh my God. All right, well, that helps. So, yeah, these guys surely caused a lot of the rust that this vehicle has. There's two things I wanted to show you guys that I've noticed here, because I pulled the carpet up to kind of scoop some of this around. First thing is, here's what the factory 5-seater looks like. As you can see, it has the indent punched into the body. It does not have the hooks installed, and instead has this cool little plastic piece. I've never seen this. I don't know if anybody's ever documented having a factory 5-seater apart, but that's how that is. And then this sticker I just noticed here. Equipped with a single-use gas shutoff device. If circuit is open, replace control. Do not operate with wire connector removed. Something temperature shut off without work. That's interesting. I don't know what that means exactly, but it's there. Jeez. There's something going on here. I don't know what that is that's unplugged or whatever that is. Is this the thing they're talking about? What is that plastic thing in there? Or is that something for the taillights? It's probably for the bulbs for the taillights or something. Yeah. You think that power motor works? Freaking doubt it. That one might have survived. Hard to say. Yep. Okay, so all that we got left is the carpet and the headliner. And my thought is we pull the headliner first, so when everything falls down, it comes out with the carpet. So to remove the headliner, we've got the two visors to pull, the overhead console to kind of wrestle out of there. I'll probably, well, the dome light can stay, it's just got to get fed up and through. And then all these clips, which, to save these clips, and because this headliner will not be reused, it is junk, this will be hard to find. A new backing with the overhead console for a shorty Caravan. That's going to be hard to find. That ought to be pretty rare. A shorty headliner with the provisions for the overhead. We're just going to cut around those so I can properly remove them. Or I could, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're going to try save those because they're a pain in the butt to find. And these ones are all in good shape still. So we're going to go ahead with the removal of the headliner. And then we'll go ahead and we'll pull this out of here. That garbage can was empty, by the way. All right, overhead console is down. So the way those come out is they slide back, drop down, slide forward and out. I'd like to document the wiring magic going on here. Starting with that. When a guy put that in, you know you could have just ran the whole plug instead of doing that. But I suppose maybe this kind of supports the theory that it was an owner that did it and pulled it off of a junkyard vehicle maybe. So they probably pulled the visor down and cut it instead of pulling the whole harness, you know what I mean? And then came back for the harness or something. It almost looks like it's a different wire. So like the visor came off of a different vehicle than the harness did or something like that. That's kind of a thought there. And then same over there. There's an extra wire spliced into that one. There's some wires going on up there. I don't know what those are all yet. I haven't been up there yet. And then we've got the CB up there because clearly they had to have this all off when they added the CB. Whoever added the CB. And then they've got some of these wires are all, done. One of these is all by himself. This blue with the black is all by himself. These grays are all into this blue and black. I'm gonna leave well enough alone, but we've got the yellow into this green and black. It is the way it is for some reason, so I guess we'll find out, right? It must have worked, but yeah, it's like it's multiple vehicles spliced together. I don't know. Anyway, it's just the clips left holding this headliner up, so let's get it down quick and get it out of here. wasn't as bad up above the headliner as I thought it would be. They were definitely up there and chewing, but they didn't live up there. They lived in here. That harness is such a mess. We will definitely be making it better when we go to put this back together. We'll loom it up and everything proper so it doesn't hang in 10 pieces. Figures removing the carpet was going to be an ordeal as well. So I should have seen this coming too. I don't know if anybody noticed that weird carpet cutout there. You know why that's there? Because this was added after the fact too. This was a non-lower console van as well, because it has the full carpet across, which makes sense. The extra console and everything was for the premium vans, which this was not. Anyway, so the person who did this, they cut the carpet out. They clearly missed the first go. And they added the bracket and then added this, although they didn't put all of the screws in right. It was in there with 3 screws. But this console's full of stuff, and I'm gonna pick through this later. All of this stuff, I think I may have said I was gonna bring the trim inside. Nah, this ain't going anywhere near the house. This is all gonna go out into the far back pole barn back there. I think same with most of this stuff that I don't need immediately for the engine. I'm just going to put back there for now as well, because it's going to like freezing rain tomorrow or whatever. It can't be outside. So, except those seats. Those seats can probably stay outside. Yeah, so this was added anyway. Obviously there's wire nuts. There's a wire nut and then a wire nut. So, yeah. Of course there is. So I nipped those, called that a day. This piece is now out of the way, and I should be able to pull the carpet out now, and that'll be that. Here's my other theory, though. I wonder, you know how we were talking about the mileage being funny, possibly, and not quite making sense? I don't think the van is super high mile, because the pedals aren't super wore. Like, among other things, there's quite a few indicators that it's not a super high mile van, but I wonder if this didn't have the base instrument panel as well, you know, with no tack or whatever. We'll know when we pull it apart, I suppose, huh? We'll probably know. And whatever van that all of this stuff came out of, whatever, you know, SE, Voyager LX, whatever red trimmed van that the lower console came out of, the overhead console, you know, the headliner and stuff, whatever van that came out of, possibly that cluster is from it, you know? That's a theory, anyway. Or that is the original cluster. I guess you'll never know, because the person that did this probably isn't alive anymore. They're not around for comments, or questions. So, we're going to say it's 84. It's probably not. But, you know. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that was also added after the fact, which is kind of cool, you know. Somebody else took pride in their first-gen Dodge Caravan over 20 years ago, and they were upgrading it, which is cool. That's awesome, you know. But it's interesting. It's interesting to have to be the next person to tear into it. I'm sure they thought nobody else would ever see this ever again, and yet here we are. Well, the carpet is out, and I'm not too scared by the floors anyway. Not too bad. So, as you can see, you've got the small seat tracks and the rear seat tracks all covered up with those little plastic guys that we were talking about. There's some sort of piece of paper here. I don't know what it is or was. There's a screw there from some trim. We'll have to recover him. The rear floors look good. That whole channel is filled with mouse nests. Of course it is. We're going to have to get in there with like a wire inside all of this stuff up here and kind of dig out what's in there. There's a rot hole of some variety going on there. Obviously, we've got this hole right here. If you see, the front 2 seats of the van has the extra backing on the carpet, but only the front area, almost like a cargo van would. So they'd have this and the carpet kind of here. So it's got like a CV style front mat and then full carpet. It's not like it was a CV van because it's got windows in it. They're not tinted, but it's got windows in it. There's some sort of like mountain looking sticker thing here. What is that? It's mountain with trees on it. I don't know. That's under the carpet. Obviously, we've got this. There's an acorn in the seat hole. That seat hole needs some work. There's a hole in the floor right there that we've discovered just now. So, to hold this wire harness or whatever they did here, they cut that. Or, you see how the metal's all rippled here? Was this cut out of the way for body work when this thing was wrecked? Yeah, look at this. There's some welding. See that? And that's below, where the hinge would be, so it's not to do with that. Did they put A-pillars in it? Boy, they did a good job here. You can't tell. I see some Bondo markings, though. You see some scratching in the paint surface there. So I bet you that's fillered. Another reason to have been in here. I wonder if they had to put an A-pillar on it or something. Or if it's just welds from where they pulled it out, like they welded a stick on it and then did some pulling out like it's beat. So they cut that out of the way to do that and hold the wires out of the way. When it was wrecked, this pillar was probably damaged and they pulled it out. I suppose it probably pushed it in when they hit the door. So there's body shop work there. That's probably who screwed that panel up, This van's been into so many times, this poor thing. That bracket's seen better days. It's pretty crusty. Interesting. I'll have to pull that up and we'll see the status of the floors. On second thought, maybe we won't. It's literally froze to what's left of the floor, so because of all the water inside. So that I don't think is going anywhere. So I've got the carpet and all the small trims on the headliner, and the final hurrah for this headliner is a sled to pull all this stuff back here in one go. It's normal to have to use a torch to remove your carpet backing, right? Yeah, that's normal, right? Well, here's a preliminary on the floor after the matting has been removed. Now, I haven't hit it with a hammer yet, but I figured it'd been worse than that. For it being, the matting being stuck to it because of that much water. It froze to it. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, well, it's officially less bad in here. But we've got some of it removed. This is a significant undertaking to get this van demousified because they're inside all these pillars and stuff. So I'm gonna have to, well, I assume they're in a lot of it. I'll have to take some baling wire and twist it up and make kind of like a snake. And I'll just have to snake all of it, and then I don't know, use compressed air and the vacuum and just get all of it out of there. I don't know, it might even be worth it to just take the pressure washer come spring and just blow through everything inside of here with the whole, with it all pulled apart. But that's going to make this process significantly a longer process because that can't happen for a while. But I almost think it's necessary to gut this interior, everything out of it and pressure wash the whole thing. I mean, there's been moisture in here long enough, it's not going to hurt anything. And then you just got to let it dry out. But that can't happen when it's cold like this. But I also think it would greatly improve our chances here. So anyway, like I said, I got it all vacuumed out. It's better. what a gross ordeal that was. But we have the lower part of the dash all out. The column is still attached because it's rusted to the steering shaft. So I got a little more fun to do there to get that all apart, but it's at least down out of the way so we get the lower plastic. I forgot on the first gens, I could get the heater box out without pulling the top of the dash. So that's nice, I guess. Granted, it's going to come out anyway. I think I've got definitive proof that the power locks were also not factory. This is the harness right here for the power lock for this door over here. And that harness, I believe, is supposed to go up and over the top of the dash from factory. Anyway, it was just run below here, and as you can see, it's all spliced in the middle. So that was all added as well. It's going to be fun with this wiring. I think I'm just going to, like I said, I'm trying to kind of hack it apart to where I can figure out how they had it, because however they had it, it must have worked. But it's definitely a good thing we never tried to apply power to this vehicle, because the wiring is in such poor condition it would have burned itself down. Which, I guess we probably should have done that in that case. I've also got evidence when I pulled the cluster out, that cluster's been apart. Somebody's been in that cluster for sure. Whether to repair it or to swap the odometer maybe, or whatever happened there. But it's been into, I'll tell you that much for sure. Something else I noticed here, this B-pillar is all crinkled. So, and this is all crinkled up there. So, I don't know, something happened to that B-pillar as well, I think. For the heater box here, it's just a couple of bolts. One of them's clearly already missing from the last guy that was here, I guess. It's that little clip nut, that one. Just those three. Make sure heater and AC lines are out of the way, and it should just come right on out for us. Hopefully. Alright, got one more bolt, I think, holding that HVAC box in. It's for that inner bracket. And I'll let you guys come along for the big reveal, I suppose. Had to turn off my Rolling Stones for this, so feel bad. Oh. So I got the nuts off on the other side. And I think it's just this guy holding it in theory. You could unbolt it from the top, but we left the top of the dash in so far, so we're doing it this way. And I think this will let it go. I think. Yep. And watch your vacuum lines here, because mine are actually intact for once. Otherwise, that's it. I wish they made it that easy on newer vehicles to pull your HVAC. I shouldn't say that easy. You have to rip the rest of the day. It's all apart anyway, so what's the difference? It's the same thing. It's just different. What I'm saying is you don't have to have the dash out to get it out. You just have to have the most of the dash out to get it out. Anyway, there's not a mouse nest in the fan motor. Good, because we need that for the new fan motor. If that one doesn't work, I have a new one. That I need the fins piece, and it's not all rotten or anything, so good. It's heavy. I don't know if any of that's mouse nest, but you know. We've got our prize. That might not be any worse than normal, to be honest. I know there was a nest in here. I sucked a bunch of it out. It's definitely got stuff in it, so we'll get that all ripped apart. Surprisingly, they weren't up in the top of the dash as much as sometimes I find. I guess they were preoccupied elsewhere, right? Anyway, that came out no problem. The dash isn't perfect. It's got a crack right there, and obviously the plastics aren't perfect. All right, so now we take our VIN number and we put it in a different van, and the restoration is done. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. That's heavy. Usually pulling this harness isn't super hard, because it should just come right out, but all of the hacked wiring is what I'm gonna say. It's not the word I'm looking for. it was grafted, the grafted wiring, because it's two harnesses grafted together from different vans for these doors and stuff. Because it's got the, this was added actually, it looks like, because the wire here is on its own. So they added the courtesy light turn on, auto turn on with the door opening and the power locks and stuff. I guess maybe that's the sensor for it and that's the courtesy light. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Anyway, all that's just wrapped in all of this stuff, and I'm trying to get it out of there without cutting as many wires as we can. So here's the power and everything going to it. So it's got the factory plug and it plugs into the factory harness. So the dash harness is all wired for all this stuff, which made it easy enough for them, but they got all the harnesses from whatever donor vehicle. And they're just wrapped in everywhere. So you can see I've almost got it free, except for this one wire right here that's just wrapped around it, which goes up here somewhere. And I don't know, maybe it goes over to the slider door. I think that might be, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I got to try cut it somewhere where I can remember. Otherwise, that harness is just about out of there. There, dash harness is gone. The steering column apparently wasn't stuck. It came unstuck when I pulled that bracket off, which the bracket wasn't holding it to it. I don't know if it was just kind of wedged or what, but it fell right off. So that's all good to go. I just got the brake pedal disconnected. I got the safety clip off for the booster, so I'm going to undo the 4 bolts for the booster, get that out of there, and then get the pedal assembly bracket out of there. Here's the growing parts hoard in the back shed back here. Got most of the stuff that can stay outside. That way it's not in that van or in the house or outside or whatever. But headliner's coming into perfect use here, doing what it can do. All the trim, dash pieces, miscellaneous stuff, extra engine parts. And then there's the dash sitting up there on the old seats. I'm going to hang on to the seats until I have new seats just in case I need something off of them. You never know, right? Never throw anything away until you're done. And everything's been stowed away, either out here in the back garage or inside. I brought all the wire harnesses inside. They don't need to be outside. And yeah, we less parts in here, but you know, enough for what we need. And also the front's all cleared out. And it's organized. So you can see I got boxes, I got bags for the bolts and stuff. I got, like, you know, exterior bolts, engine bay bolts, and then interior bolts. That's about as much as I need for organization. So here we sit at the car wash in Carry 2.0, the 95 Voyager with 211,653 miles, and I got some good news. Two pieces of good news. Carrie's getting a car wash, one. Two, those are license plates, and those license plates are for the 90 Plymouth Voyager. I finally went in and I got the application for title as the plates fall submitted, along with the bill of sale and everything, and I was able to get the title transferred. I'll know in a few weeks if I'll have to get a bond or not. The state will be like, sometimes they will. This thing was only $300, so they might not make me get a bonded title, but we'll see. Well, I can't put the front plate on for obvious reasons, but I figure we can put one on it, right? And I truly thank the person who took these plates off, the last plates that were ever on this car, because apparently they cared enough that they put the screws back. Usually, if you're taking a car to the junkyard or whatever, and you take the plates off the car before you go to junk it, usually you don't care very much, and you don't put these screws back. But somebody cared enough that they were put back, all four of them. So maybe the last time the plates came off this car, it wasn't deemed scrap yet. And just like that, she's legal. At least it's got one plate on it. That makes it look less like an eyesore when it's sitting in the driveway with no interior and no drivetrain. So at least I can say it's got plates on it. Makes it look a lot better, though. It makes it look a lot better.